Welcome into another Patriots Hub podcast free agency reaction video. Alex, Barth, Matt Dolloff from 98.5 thesportshub.com.
Zoe behind us still?
Yeah, he just walked by. He'll barge in at some point.
Pretend he's not there. He's not there.
Catching up on the moves from last night before we get to the legal tampering period at noon on Monday. And one of those moves, a re-signing, the first re-signing for the Patriots. Austin Hooper, back on another one-year deal, signed a one-year deal last year in free agency to join the Patriots. That was like a $4 million and change. There's Zoe. Now, Austin Hooper comes back on a one-year, $5 million deal worth up to $7 million. Dolph, he was probably at the top of my list for Patriots internal free agents. Not that they had a long list. There's only 9 players. They took care of a lot of their free agents last year, but Hooper worked well with Drake May. I think was a good tandem with Hunter Henry. Sneaky. We were used to the Patriots for years and years having like not great tight end rooms, right?
Right.
For post Gronk there.
There was a few years of nothing.
All combined, but it was 90-something% Henry and Hooper. They were 6th last year for tight end receptions and tight end yards. So it was a good productive tight end room. Drake May likes throwing to these guys, and they get Austin Hooper back on what I think is a good deal. 1 year, $5 million when you look at like what Mike Gesicki got in what Juwan Johnson's projected to get.
Yeah, Austin Hooper was a guy that seemed to get better as the season went along, like sort of right as Drake May was getting better as the season went along. So, yeah, they developed some chemistry. And, like, yeah, ideally he's only your number 5 or 6 target in the offense, right? Like, we're not talking about, like, a cornerstone piece of the offense here, but this is a guy that worked, and obviously he seems to, like it here and wanted to stay. And so, yeah, I think it was a good idea to keep him around. And here's another thing, Bart, that makes tight end less of a need in the draft. Like, we're not going to be going into the season saying, oh, my God, they only have Hunter Henry.
Right.
They have to get the kid from Penn State. I know Louth would like that. But, yeah, I think it's a less of a need now. And so, like, they have their top 2 tight ends sort of set. And so now they can focus on getting a wide receiver as far as weapons are concerned.
I wouldn't take it off the draft board entirely because both these guys are over 30.
Sure, you can still get a long-term answer, but it's not as urgent. It's not as immediate.
A top 100 need anymore. I still would like to see them tap into a deep tight end class. Get, that guy's going to come in, be the 3rd tight end this year, and it is only a 1-year deal for Hooper, and maybe he comes in next year, because this is the big question to me with Austin Hooper coming back. So last year, played in all 17 games, caught 45 passes, 476 yards, was tied for the team lead with 3 touchdowns. It was top 3 in on the team in all receiving categories.
Team lead with 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's more about the team than him, but he was an Alex Van Pelt guy. Played with Alex Van Pelt in Cleveland, had some chemistry with Jacoby Brissett as well. That was the draw last year, was he had all these connections to kind of what they already had set up. It will be interesting to see how his role changes, if it changes, how it changes, and how he adjusts to Josh McDaniels. We already know he can work with Drake May, but does he have kind of a different role this year with a different offensive coordinator that he's not familiar with?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a pure pass-catching tight end, right? And he can run a solid route. He can get open down the seam. And so, yeah, I think he will be a solid fit for what Josh McDaniels wants to do. I don't think it's going to be a Jonnu Smith situation.
Wait, I need to correct myself. He played for McDaniels in Vegas in 23 before McDaniels got let go.
Okay. So maybe that was a factor.
Had a couple of weeks there.
Okay, so I guess we'll have to look up how he did in Vegas there. But yeah, I think this isn't going to be like a Jonnu Smith situation where Josh McDaniels has no idea how to use him, and it's a guy where you have to get the ball in his hands and make plays after the catch and all that.
Touch guy.
Like, he's going to be a guy that you could scheme open and maybe get him open down the seam and just deliver him the ball that way. And so again, I expect him to be mostly a complimentary guy. He'll occasionally pop for a touchdown, maybe have a big game here and there. But, yeah, I see him as a complimentary guy, but I think he will fit with what Josh McDaniels wants to do. And based on the Raiders connection, maybe Josh McDaniels already knows what he wants to do with him.
I do think we're going to see more 2 tight end looks this year. We know McDaniels likes to do that. I think it's going to help. Look, as we're recording this, we don't know what their situation tackle is going to be with the guys that are coming off the board. It's not going to be great. So it kind of helps you out there. I could see his usage going up. I could see him getting more involved this year. I don't know how. I'm not telling you he's going to have 1,000 yards receiving, but comparable numbers to last year, or comparable is the best way to put this. He put up almost 500 yards in an offense that had no direction, and I think he's going to be in a position to maybe not more production, but production that's more meaningful.
Yeah,
right?
He could have the same production, but if it's part of an improved offense where he's the clear number 5 option, call it. like that could be technically an improvement, even though it's the same numbers. Like a 40 catch, 500-yard, 3-4 touchdown season looks a lot different when you have a left tackle and you have a number 1 and a number 2 wide receiver, and Drake May playing better, and they're hopefully winning more games, and they're better coached and all that. Like, you could probably get the same production out of him, but it's still, it means more, and it's like it's a bigger deal than what he had last year.
So Hooper resigns. That leaves the Patriots with 8 unrestricted free agents: Jacoby Brissett, Jermichael Hasty, Daniel Ekuale, Dietrich Wise, O'Shea Jimenez, Jonathan Jones, Jalen Hawkins, and Joey Sly. There's already been some reporting on the 2 veterans there. Jonathan Jones expected to test the market. Doesn't mean he won't come back. Mike Reese reported on Sunday that Dietrich Wise kind of seems like a long shot to return. So keeping that all in mind, actually, I know your answer to this. This was your big take of the day a couple weeks ago.
Biggest take of the offseason.
Who from that group should be next? Who's the and it's not a big group, and you can make an argument that they probably don't need to re-sign any of those guys, but who from that group do you kind of want to see him bring back the most?
Well, I've said before that I would like to see Ekuale back as sort of a culture guy. I think he would fit what Vrabel wants in terms of rebuilding a winning culture. He's a guy that was accountable last year, and he's a good, solid, complementary situational pass rusher. Like, I think it's trouble if you try to put him in there to stop the run between the tackles. They got to figure out that part of the defense, but if they bring back Ekuale as a third down pass rusher on the interior, like, I'll be happy with that. And Jonathan Jones, that's an interesting one because it feels like they've been linked to DJ Reed. Have there been any reports on that, or is that
a little bit? But Reed's an outside guy. He's smaller, but he's an outside guy. Like, to me, the 2 I'm looking to bring back, Ekuale, because I think he's a fit for what they want to do now defensively. Devon Godshaw got traded this morning to the New Orleans Saints. If you missed that, offseason.985thesportshub.com to get caught up on that. But they want these like more athletic, aggressive, penetrating defensive tackles. Ekuale fits that. Jones is the other one because without him, their only slot corner is Marcus Jones. You're going to add a slot corner. There's some good ones in the draft, but we know Marcus Jones is a good player, doesn't always stay healthy. So having depth there and really good depth with Jonathan Jones, who now would give you depth in the slot, depth on the outside, and some depth at safety, plus bring veteran leadership. I would like to see him back. Maybe he plays less than he has in past years. It's a reduced role, but I still think there's value in having him on the team.
Here's the thing, Barth. Like, I want Jonathan Jones back in the slot. Like, I'm done with the Jonathan Jones on the outside experiment. That's sort of to my point about DJ Reed. I wouldn't love him as a signing because I want them to get a bigger outside corner to complement Christian Gonzalez and to be able to take on those bigger outside receivers.
They've been linked to Carlton Davis in recent days, who checks that box.
I want the big outside corner to start opposite Gonzalez, and I'd take Jonathan Jones back, but hopefully it's as the slot corner. I'm all set with him being on the outside.
If he's like their third corner, like I'd bring him back wearing a lot of hats because I'm with you that they need size on the outside. But when you play Miami, right, with Waddle and Hill, you can put him on the outside in that matchup, right? Yeah. And he's a good guy to he will match up with some receivers that a guy like Carlton Davis won't.
I match him up. I'm saying I just don't want him to be that every week like he's our starting outside corner. I want them to bring in a free agent.
No, they need to upgrade there, and they really do need the size. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the unrestricted free agents. Again, Jacoby Brissett, Jermichael Hasty, Daniel Ekuale, Dietrich Wise, O'Shea Jimenez, Jonathan Jones, Jalen Hawkins, Joey Sly. Chuckle because I'm looking at the list I wrote on the Sports Hub website back at the start of the offseason. Chooks Okorafor still on there, but he's been released. So the number now at 8, plus they do have 2 restricted free agent, 1 restricted free agent in Christian Ellis. Lester Cotton was a restricted free agent. They didn't tender backup interior lineman. So we will see. We will have updates on those players and external moves the Patriots make on offseason.985thesportshub.com, our special offseason website, which will have updates on free agency and the draft coming as well. So that's going to be a one-stop shopping for all things offseason, but our free agency tracker is up there, and we will be doing these videos every time the Patriots make a significant move, reacting to signings, trades, and more. So you want to make sure that you subscribe to the Sports Hub YouTube channel to find those. Also, the Patriots Hub podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be posting audio versions as well. It's going to be hard to dodge us for the next week, Dolloff.
We're going to be everywhere.
We're going to be everywhere with your free agency coverage. So until the next move, for Matt Dolloff, I'm Alex Barth. Thanks for tuning in.